Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come one and come all. Today we're going to be covering a deck tech I was randomly cooking up a few days ago with my friend. I think it's sure to raise a few eyebrows. You are watching the Wondercat channel. A card that I have always wanted to build around since its printing, Dimensional Rift, is going to be our play around combo piece of sorts for today. I touched on this card in the White Archetypes tier list when I was covering the Armored Dragons and how the majority of them have some pretty cool when this spirit blocks effects that could be worth abusing. So what does Dimensional Rift do? Essentially, it's a 5-cost magic with 2 reduction that during your main phase you may summon a spirit with a when this spirit blocks effect without paying for it. Now, the card is basically I go down 1 card but I'm ramping out something bigger sooner. Seems bad, I guess. But we did have Big Bang Energy in the format for a while, and that card was banned. Yes, Big Bang Energy covered the entire turn and was much more open-ended, but I think we can still make something around Dimensional Rift, get it to work, create some really nutty turns. But with our namesake card discussed, let's talk about the list as a whole. So we're going to be starting off with a playset of Snowbit. This card is purely in here for a bit more card draw. It's no surprise, White has very little card draw. We want to run 2 reduction, get 2 reduction on board turn 1. So Snowbit is basically it's kind of the perfect card for it. We're not paying any cause to summon it. It gives us that reduction. Perfect. Next, we're going to be running 2 copies of Capybot. This card is realistically a half-decent check into smaller aggro beast lists, being able to block multiple spirits at level 2 if using its block effect to target itself. Capybot isn't the end-all be-all of our early game spirits, but we do run a relatively similar spirit that works just as well, Pegasion. We're going to be playing Pegasion in the playset, 4 copies of the set 1 staple. He is more or less the exact same card as Capybot, being able to block multiple times per turn, even if exhausted, and it helps raise our defenses with more armor coverage. I guess to an extent you could probably alternate between them. You know, like Capybot's obviously going to be better against blue decks because it has armor blue. Pegasion I kind of leaned more heavily towards because red-purple decks are still quite good at the moment. So just being able to not be targeted by the card, core reductions going to help out quite a lot. Next, we're going to finish off our smaller spirit package with 2 copies of Battery Ball. I think the card is decent both BP-wise and ability-wise. I just think it's a little too slow for what we want to do with this deck, so I don't want the hand filled with them. With that in mind, though, the next selection of our spirit package is definitely going to make you laugh at that previous statement. For our top end, the first big boy of the Rift list, we're going to be playing a playset of 7-cost Frost Tiger. Its BP thresholds aren't super great, but is basically an upgraded version of Pegasion. He's also one of our potential win cons, being able to swing with multiple spirits that can't be blocked by anything costing 6 or fewer, as long as we have a couple of Diamond Sanctuaries on board, which is something we are, of course, going to be playing. It should be noted that this does in fact die to Ritual Fire at level 1, so you probably don't want to be swinging in with this into red early, even if summoned off Rift. There is also the fact that it isn't really our favorite Rift target, so I'd still say that this is something you're going to cast mid-game if necessary. Next, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Enterprise. This chunky boy, having armor red, white, and purple, already makes him somewhat problematic to deal with. He also can't be hit by blue's 2 forms of removal, the popular forms of removal anyway, Floodstream and Raging Tide, and he even has the ability to refresh himself once per turn 2 when blocking, so making him a great late game threat defensively. But we aren't just playing Enterprise for the late game, because this is the Rift deck, and we want Enterprise out as early as possible. So let's look at some ideal turns in the deck. If we are going first and we don't take any damage, we can easily summon Enterprise turn 3 with Rift. If going first we do take at least 1 damage, we can summon Enterprise turn 2. If going second and we don't take damage, we summon Enterprise turn 2. Due to Rift's ability to summon spirits larger than the cost of the spell, we can get those big boys out quicker and start to control the board. Slowly but surely, we inch our way back into the loving embrace that is Numengard. 4 copies of him sit in this list because if you hadn't seen it coming, there's a small sub-theme of Machine Beasts in the list, which means it only makes sense that we abuse this in Numengard's best friend, Newman City. Numengard is the only top-end card we run that doesn't have a when the spirit blocks effect, as we are able to use Newman City to reduce its cost in the same sort of efficiency as what we can do with Rift and the others. Numengard is also one of the only other solid pieces of card draw that White has outside of Donor, and creates frustrating scenarios for opponents that play Purple Destruction like Deadly Balance or Doubly Deadly. Last of the spirits will be 2 copies of Frost Tiger Armor Form, the 9 cost to Assembled Spirit. This thing is another one of our win cons, and like Enterprise can be played as early as turn 2 if we sack our Capybot or Pegasi on summon. The card is an absolute monster if comboed naturally with Battery Ball, which is why we will run 2 copies of it, and can easily swing a proper board state, especially with the addition of Numengard being able to refresh it to block with after attacking. Our Nexus package we have more or less already gone over. 4 copies of Diamond Sanctuary. This card is, at least in my opinion, the worst of the Sanctuaries. I really don't like it. But being able to make things unblockable with Frost Tiger due to playing the card is a decent combination. We also require to run this card as its onboard reduction is important and it doesn't take up a core that we need to have on board turn 1 and 2. We also play 4 copies of Newman City. This card works wonders with the Elephant and is able to also help us ramp into our other spirits when we don't have Dimensional Rift. This card is usually priority target number 1 when it comes to Nexus destruction, so we're going to need a way to prevent that. To prevent it, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Steel Leaves. This Nexus is a slower turn 1 play for us, but does allow us to play Newman City safer, especially when we have a burst card set. This is also basically a waste Nexus removal on me first if you want to blow up Newman City, so the card is worth running at least a couple copies. The last Nexus we're going to be running is 2 copies of Frozen Waterfall. Not only does this give the majority of our boss monsters a nice BP boost, but it's also a turn extender win con with Frost Tiger Armor Form. This could be replaced by something as simple as Regain, but again, we are looking to get that 2 reduction on board turn 2 as fast and as efficiently as possible. Playing combat tricks in this list does not or does technically dilute the chances of us hitting those ratios. So whilst I wouldn't say it's a great card, I mean it's decent, like kind of mid to late game fodder. You throw a couple of extra cores on it, you know. But yeah, you know, you can play you'd play Regain, but I think this is fine. But now we're on to the magic. So, of course, we're going to play 4 copies of Dimensional Rift, because why wouldn't we? It's the namesake and the whole reason we're playing this list. This card basically needs to be in our first 8 cards, so the hand, assuming we keep it, plus the 2 draws, and a couple draws after that. If it isn't within our first 2-3 turns, yeah, we're in a bit of a situation, you know, but that's why we are running what card draw we do have access to. I don't think there's ever a time where we would want to use it for its buff effect, but who knows. Next, we're also going to be playing a playset of Strong Draw. This is technically the only non-white card in the deck. I did say it was mono-white, but no, this we do need to play Strong Draw. Very similar reasoning as stated above, so we do need to try and get this D-Rift into our hand as quickly as possible. It's a necessary evil. If we have to play it turn 1, turn 2 just to try and dig faster to get into our D-Rift, I think it's it has to happen, you know. This deck doesn't want to go super long like conventional white lists, so yeah, we're going to have to play it. We also play 4 copies of Ice Shield because, you know, it's Ice Shield. We're playing white. There's no reason why you wouldn't. I kind of do feel to an extent like the deck may be too fast or may want to do other things, so we wouldn't have to play Ice Shield. I know in previous aggro decks and certain decks where I've wanted to play faster, I don't like running Ice Shields. It's also better on the wallet for people, but no, we do kind of need this, especially if we don't get the D-Rift combo out turn 2, turn 3. You can recommend. I do recommend that you could swap them for more 1 to 3 drop machine beasts like Mecha Wing Duck from the starter deck or Cygnus One from set 2. This can also be the case for your waterfall if you don't like that. It increases our turn 2 odds and ensures we have that machine beast typing necessary for Frost Tiger armor form. And the last card for the deck is just a couple copies of Dream Bomb. Again, the card is just generic removal, but we realistically aren't going to cast it unless our turn 2 to turn 3 combo with D-Rift doesn't pan out. We want to play aggressively early game with our life, so it is possible to trigger even if you're happy just to bounce a Nexus and not a creature, if you can spin the creature away with Frost Tiger. All in all, the deck is going to set you back between 70 to 100, that's US to AUD, and while I don't think it's good enough to win any events, I think it's janky enough and fun enough that you guys are going to have fun with it with your friends. It's hilarious how explosive the deck is, and hopefully you can surprise someone next time you meet up for some games with such a list. I don't think I would ever laugh harder. I mean, I've played against games where people would Newman Guard turn 3 and I'd go, oh my god. But being able to, Frost Tiger armor form turn 2 sounds absolutely nutty. So, this if any list can do it, it's going to be this one. Yeah. But this deck is exactly why I wanted to also create the channel as well. I didn't want to cover anything super meta defining. I wanted to create decks that were fun, decks that were different, and just things that I like to play with and toy around with. So hopefully you guys have a lot of fun with this one. And with being in the stretches of set 6 spoilers as well, it seems only fitting that I try and wind up any particular lists that I have been thinking about discussing before the meta and decks change up again. As for the Ice Princess list, I was talking and kind of spoiled this a little while ago, or I mentioned that I was working on it. I've spent the last couple of weeks playing it. It's gone through maybe like 3 or 4 iterations. I can't seem to. I think it actually defeated me. I genuinely think that Ice Princesses just aren't there yet. The set 6 stuff still hasn't really gotten me convinced that what they have is any good. I may be wrong, but a lot of the green red stuff looks better. A lot of the yellow blue stuff looks pretty cool. These purple white Ice Princess cards aren't doing it for me. I found while I was testing this deck that I kept kind of moving towards wanting to abuse our green-white cards, and by abusing our green-white cards we were moving more towards mechas when, all our Ice Princess stuff is like Ice Princess Android. So it was kind of like splitting the list into 2 different archetypes, and it kind of ruined the feel of it being an Ice Princess list. So I'm gonna have to call that a loss, sadly. I can 100% post up the green white mecha list that I ended up finally settling on, because my god, that list is absolutely a ton of fun. It can go par to par. It does really well against like purple aggro decks, because it can play fairly aggro as well. It does really well into other token lists, because we have cards that help us restand our tokens, which basically means we're able to swing for free and play defensively as well, which puts a lot of pressure on the opponent, believe it or not. I think the deck is a solid 6 to 7 out of 10 in terms of playability. I'd say it's an 8 or 9 out of 10 in terms of fun, which is pretty cool. But anyway, I hope you guys liked this glass cannon white D-Rift combo deck. I can't wait to hear from you guys. If anyone builds it, please let me know. See if you can pull off the combo, how consistent it is. I did think about running the white Diamond Radiance, the promo card from set 1 that came with the elementals. Only reason I didn't like it is, again, similar to the regain reason. It doesn't give us actual reduction, paying that 1 core. Yes, it draws us the card, but we need 3 symbols, and realistically, we need every single core turn 2, turn 3 to play D-Rift and then play a Spirit on top. So, yeah, Astral Radiant, the green, the white one's just not going to cut it for us. But anyway, that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you all in the next video. Ta-ta!